right. All right, Marsona. It is so nice to be with you today. We need to really kind of buckle down and talk about our I mean, okay, sorry, technical difficulties. We need to buckle down and talk about our summer professional development for our counselors. And since we are both counselor facilitators and we're both on the campuses a lot, talking to counselors about their needs and things of that nature, just seeing kind of where counselors need areas for growth, I decided to pull you in so that we could go over what kind of professional development would be the best for our counselors. So
Okay,
is that okay?
that's okay.
Okay, so could you please, because you know how I am on time and stuff, if you could please, we're just going to do just some basics for right now.
Okay,
So could you please take notes and be my timekeeper
I would
so that we
love
can
to.
keep up? Okay, so we'll go about 15 minutes, okay,
Okay.
for this initial part.
All right.
Okay, all right. So for just starting off, basically for our planning meeting document, we need to talk about the venue.
Okay.
I am so open for any ideas that you may have about the venue. I was thinking that we could reach out to some of the high schools because that's usually where they have the classrooms open and we can do summer professional development there.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on that? Are there any other spaces?
I think the high school will be great, especially if we want to split some of the counselors up by
Mm-hmm.
grade level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Okay. High schools. And then we do have the PDC and the CCC. What are your thoughts? Is the CCC too large, or would that be a, a place to use, or what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I believe at the high school we could probably section off a place where our counselors can kind of still be together, even if we need to kind of split up based
Right.
off of grade level. Being at some of the larger venues, since we're coming back for summer, PD, that puts us in a position where we may not all be able to stay together because there's going to be so many other departments and other
Yeah.
trainings taking place at the same time.
Right. Okay. So yeah. So at the different high schools, and if not, then I think we could check out maybe the PDC for those the BO6 those workrooms there.
Okay.
We may be able to. So that'll be our because I like to have a backup
Okay.
plan. So the high schools one, we'll go ahead and take a look at those. I love using Saxy. They're really good about the sound system
Okay.
and stuff like that. Okay, and then as our backup plan, we could use the PDC.
Okay.
Well, what about here at Harris Hill? No,
Well, we may be a little limited on space here
I
at
know
Harris
that's the
Hill.
thing. Yeah, that's the thing. If we do something here, we're only limited to the basically those three rooms
Right.
upstairs.
And if we want
Okay.
all the counselors to come together, I really don't believe we have a space here large enough to pull everybody into the
Yeah. And
same
we
room.
may need to talk about that because the summer PD usually is optional. So we may not have everybody. So
Okay.
we may be able to work and play with that little space a little
Okay.
bit. Okay.
All right.
So we got the high schools for our first choice.
Yes.
Yay, we're gonna ask Taxi. And then we have for our second choice PDC and for our last resort, if there's nowhere else, the Harris Hill rooms upstairs. Okay. So because this is optional and we're not going to have everyone, then we need to really talk about the number of sessions that we're going to have and what we're going to have, right?
Mm-hmm.
We do want to do the boots on the ground thing.
Okay.
So empowering those counselors that really are those superstar counselors, like like Julie and Sherry and all of them, to be able to present
Okay.
some of their best practices or some of the things that they learned at the state conference.
Okay.
Okay, so that's something that we'll have to put on our to-do list to go ahead and reach out to presenters. But we'll talk about that in a second as well. Okay, so the number of sessions. So let's take a look at the counselor's needs assessment. I
Okay.
put it up on the board, okay? And I think it's a little bit easier for me to look at it like this than at the spreadsheet.
Okay.
Okay, so we have mostly, this is interesting, mostly high school counselors. That's not usually the case. They responded even more so than elementary school counselors and middle school counselors. So we got counselors who want who have needs.
Okay.
Right. Okay, so let's see what are the topics. So the question was on this, select three topics that are the highest need to you as a counselor. Let's see, which one is the biggest one? I think it's this one. Oh, you see that? The
Counselor's
counselor's role in
role.
504 and testing. Oh man. That okay, so that could be a challenge for us since that's outside of our department, as far as 504 training. But
Mm-hmm.
we can speak to the counselor's role.
Yes.
ASCA put out that new statement on
Yes.
504. And so we could speak to what would be appropriate for the counselor to do in 504 and in testing and other administrative duties. So,
And then also
what
with
are your
that,
thoughts?
that I think is a great segue
Mm-hmm.
to how important it is for counselors to build those relationships with their administration.
Mm-hmm.
And so when building
Yes.
those relationships, and there's a level of respect and understanding of the role of the counselor that the
Right.
administration can appreciate versus not knowing what the counselor's doing or where they're at. But if they develop that level of respect and communication and just, develop, that rapport with their administration,
Mhm.
then I believe that they can kind of overcome some of the issues that they may be having with the 504
Absolutely.
testing.
Oh, that is such a good point, Marsona, because you're right. So, maybe as our topic for this one, we would need one of us would need to do this one,
Okay. Yes.
and we would need to address building the principal counselor relationship
Yes.
slash 504
Yes.
non-counseling duties.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I think that would be really good. Excellent, excellent suggestion on that one. That's good. Okay, so yeah, because a lot of people did choose that, so then we know that that's a concern for a lot of people. Okay, so yeah, that would be something that we would definitely need to present. I wouldn't want
Yes.
another counselor presenting that. Okay, so that's good. Okay, so that's one.
Uh-huh.
Well, that's one, Barcelona. Okay, so the second one, so that was 29.8%. Let me see what else we got. 25.5%. Oh, small group instruction.
Mm.
This is something that a boots on the ground counselor presenter could present. Um, because there's a lot of counselors that run a lot of awesome groups.
Yes.
Have you seen like the lunch bunches on campus
No,
and
I haven't
things
had
like
a
that?
chance to see
You
them.
haven't? Okay,
No.
yeah. So they're pretty cool. So they have lunch bunches, and a lot of the counselors have things. What worries me about this is the lack of district resources.
Okay.
So that's one of the challenges. So, what are your thoughts about that?
Well,
Having a
we've started creating some resources. I think that we need to revisit what we currently have,
mhm,
and then building on, on the lessons or the activities that we have, and incorporating more of what the counselors are doing in, PD, uh, from like LASTA and ASTA. We can pull in
right,
more of those activities and resources into what we already have to give the counselors kind of like a starting library to
mhm,
kind of pick
mhm,
from and pull from.
yeah,
And I think if we revisit that and just kind of format it in a more user friendly way for the counselors, then I think they'll be more apt to want to use the resources that we do have.
yeah. So easy. Okay, so an easily accessible means to have the resources. So yes, a school counselor could do this as a presentation for
Yes.
sure.
Mm-hmm.
But us as a district, we need to also provide a backup
Yes.
for that counselor presentation.
Most definitely.
Okay, absolutely. I totally agree. So we can definitely do that. And I know we've been trying to work on guidance and
Mm-hmm.
small group instruction. So that's good. One thing that I want to, and I know that this is not necessarily on here, but one thing that I did want to mention is counselors really fail to see how they can help academically
Mm-hmm.
because they're just like,
Mm.
well, I can't, move the test scores because I'm not gonna, I can't tutor kids, I can't do this, I can't do that. So maybe a session on helping them to see how they are very instrumental in academic achievement,
Yes.
as well as mental health.
Okay.
Okay, so
Very good.
that's not on here, but I just wanted to mention that as something that I was thinking about too.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on that?
And I
Like,
think that's great.
yeah.
And I think that'll help counselors to tie in the work that they do and help them to relate and tie in with what's happening in the classroom. So
Especially her elementary school
yes.
counselors, they feel like they don't got nothing to do with it. But okay, so let's do one more. So we did top three. Oh, Marsona, out of country transcript review. Woo! Okay, so yes, yes, and yes. Marzona, have we not pulled out our hair and gotten gray hair over this out of country
Yes.
transcript? So
Yes.
for high school counselors, providing a summer PD session
Yes.
on how to go through that is Greek to me, how to read a transcript, what to do in order to get an out of country transcript done. Because we've had all kind of drama on that.
Yes,
ranking,
yes, we have.
everything. So I think that's perfect.
Yes.
For okay.
That would be great.
That would be good. Okay. So what do you think about the presenter on this? I
think
we
that
gotta
that
have
might have to
somebody
be
super strong.
well, I mean, it looks like everybody is struggling though.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the same struggle. It's different situations, but everybody seems to be struggling. It may be something that we need to
That's what I think too.
organize and facilitate and actually present to the council so that once we establish some guidelines and some procedures, it's coming from us and then everybody needs to follow suit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something that we definitely need to address. There has been so many issues with this. And it's like interesting to look at this and the challenges and things because we got a lot going on.
Right.
And we have to provide a lot of support to our counselors. So we looked at the needs assessment, and so we're gonna go ahead and wrap up here. And then the next time that we meet, hopefully it'll be for a longer amount of time. We can talk about how we can get presenters.
Okay.
I think we should send something out to get presenters to apply to present. So that's one thing, and then that'll give Miss Jackie a chance to check up on the venues, and we give her the dates and the number of people and the number of sessions that we're going to have.
That'll be great. That'll be great. Now, one thing I would like to know though is maybe we can reach out to some of our counselors and survey them, the ones that are doing the 504s or. Because there are so many different things happening on the campuses, and a lot of times what counselors are doing is from the perspective of their different administrators. I would like to know what's working well with some of the counselors. Maybe we can survey them.
Yes.
And we can kind of share that information out to the group of counselors because it could be something that one counselor is missing, but it's working well at another campus.
Yes.
And maybe they can kind of, feed off of one another and adopt some of the practices.
I love that idea because that definitely, since we're presenting that part, that would definitely be able to help to be very practical, boots on the ground, kind of best practices of things that we could use. So that is an awesome idea because I don't want to get up there and they already think sometimes that we're very far removed from the work and they're like, what you talking about? So yeah, that's good. Getting counselors, getting best practices to see what's working on campuses. I love that idea. I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, was there anything else you wanted to add before we wrapped up?
No, I think that's it. This was great.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, so we will meet again maybe tomorrow to see if we can wrap some stuff up. Okay.
All right.
Sounds good.
All right.
Thank you so much,
Marcella. Thank you. Enjoyed it.
Okay, you gonna get it for me? Thank you. Let's stop.